This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform to build a beautiful online presence and run your business. We need to talk about book talk. This video is a video that I have been wanting to make because a few months ago, I think it was close to 8 months ago, honestly, I'm not too sure, I made a video and I talked about book talk, but I was more specifically talking about some highly hyped up book talk books that I had read. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. Today I'm going to be talking about what book talk is for those of you who may not know, my opinions on book talk and if it is toxic or not, and then I'm also going to be talking about a lot, and I mean a lot. Like when I say a lot, I'm talking about all of these books that are sitting right here. We're talking about a lot of books today. Let's get into it, but before we get into this video, I want to say a huge thank you to the sponsor of today's video, which is Squarespace. You guys know that I have been talking about Squarespace for a while now, and you guys know how much I love them. In my free time, I have been trying to build a kind of place where it's like a blog version of my YouTube channel, where I kind of just talk about everything personal with me, from books to what I'm loving recently, maybe some things going on, some stuff, my opinions, because we all know I love to give those. So I have been spending a lot of time on Squarespace in my free time doing that. What I love about Squarespace is that they make it easy for creators like me, or if you're an educator, to monetize specific content for me that fits in with my brand. Like with certain member area, you can unlock a new revenue stream, and it frees up time in your schedule if you're somebody who runs their own business by selling access to gated content like classes, courses, or newsletters. There's also so many insights that you can look into with Squarespace, geographically, how many people are visiting your website, where they're looking on your website. There's literally so many different little things that you can look at. Something that I love is displaying my posts from everything. I'll display my Spotify, my YouTube, both of my Instagrams. Like, I love that you can just display all of your social media. All you have to do is push website content to your favorite social media, and then your people that are coming to your website can share it too. If you guys are interested, you guys can head over to squarespace.com for a free trial, and then when you guys are ready to launch, because you guys will be ready to launch, you guys can go to squarespace.com/des.sidster to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you so much again to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Let's get back into talking about book talk, what we're doing today. To start off this conversation, we are going to talk about what book talk is. So we all know TikTok. I'm pretty sure if you don't know what TikTok is, you have to be living underneath a rock or something, or maybe you just don't care. TikTok is one of the most highly regarded social media apps right now. Everyone is on TikTok. Everyone knows the black hole that is TikTok. There are many different corners of TikTok. There's fitness TikTok, there's shifting TikTok, which I am somehow on, even though I don't do that, but they somehow all come with my For You page. I don't know. There's a bunch of different corners for specific interests that people may have, which is how your For You page is organized. And of course, I am on Book Talk because I digest a lot of book content, so I have book talk on my For You page and follow a lot of book talkers. And if you guys don't know what book talkers are creators on TikTok that talk about books. So it's like me, how you would classify me as a booktuber. I also make book TikToks, so I'm also a book talker, if that makes any sense. So basically what book talk is just people talking about books. It's exactly what YouTube is, but just a little bit different because of the way that they recommend books. You follow certain trends and recommend books, or maybe only post quotes of books that you like. It's very, very much the same and different than YouTube. I feel like it's two completely, not different communities, but it's two different energies, I feel, that you get on TikTok and that you get on YouTube, which I will get into in a moment. But basically, book talk is just an area of TikTok that people go and share books that they like and recommend them via trends that may be going on. Here is my opinion on book talk. What I just told you guys, the information I just gave you about basically what book talk is. You may be thinking, how could this necessarily breed a toxic environment? The interesting thing about book talk is that, like I said earlier, the energies that you get on YouTube versus TikTok are two vastly different things, let me tell you that. On BookTube, mostly everybody is encouraging, everyone just kind of respects everyone's opinions, people just watch videos and take the content in, and there's usually just a bunch of positivity following the videos. You don't usually scroll through booktubers' comments and see negativity. There are people stating their opinions on books, but that's not necessarily negative. It's just saying how they didn't like a book. And for me personally, I don't experience a lot of hate on my booktube. Of course, there's going to be hate anywhere that you go. That's just how people are sometimes, and that's how social media is. But in my personal experience with booktube specifically, I haven't had a lot of negative interactions. Book Talk, on the other hand, it's not even just what you come across on your own page with your own content that you are putting out. It is the content that you digest. And what I mean by this is when you are scrolling endlessly for anywhere from 5 minutes to literal hours, because I feel like time does not exist on that app. When you are scrolling and you see not just, oh, I didn't like this book, because there's nothing wrong with stating that you don't like a book. I want to get that out there because I feel like I don't want to get this confused with saying that people who are saying that they didn't enjoy a book are negative people, and you shouldn't be putting that out. You have all of the right to state that you don't like a book. I have said multiple times, especially I'm probably going to say something today that you disagree with that I don't like, and that's not the issue. The issue is putting other people down for their opinions that they have. For example, a huge thing that's going around Book Talk right now is to kind of slam on people who enjoy Colleen Hoover, and I've seen a lot of people who slam on Colleen Hoover herself as an author. And what I meant by digesting negative content a lot more is when you are scrolling and you're seeing people saying, oh, if you like Colleen Hoover books, this, or making fun of people who like Colleen Hoover books. And it's not just Colleen Hoover books. Think about any of the OG Book Talk books. Say that you particularly like those books because you like them. It doesn't really matter why you like them. You like them. That's all that matters. And they are putting people down for liking a specific book. That just always will rub me the wrong way, because I've said so many times that everyone is 110% entitled to their own opinion. Specifically for me, whenever I review a book and I don't like it, it's nothing ever against the author. It's nothing to reflect onto them. It's just that my personal taste doesn't align with what book this author wrote. It doesn't mean anything to the author. It just means that personally, when I read this book, I didn't love it. But what I see on Book Talk is just putting other people down for authors they enjoy, for books they like. I've literally had people tell me, because I made a TikTok talking about this a little bit. It was through a trend. I made a TikTok about it, and I literally had people commenting saying that people told them that just because they liked It Ends With Us or enjoyed Colleen Hoover books, that they aren't actual readers, and that just doesn't sit right with me. It doesn't make any sense. This video is also not to pick out the negatives, because there are so many overwhelmingly positive creators and followers, and that makes it so much fun. But today we're talking about Book Talk, and most of the time Book Talk can just be super negative. I don't know if this makes any sense, because there are super negative parts of TikTok, and when you open, and one of my things too is these negative videos that just have a negative connotation to them. You open up the comments and it's even more negativity. Sometimes the comments are even worse than the video, and I don't think sometimes that as people we realize how much negativity you're digesting just by reading those comments. Even though there's negative parts on Book Talk, there are still positive parts. There, like I said, positive creators on there. There's so many creators that I love to watch personally on Book Talk that are so positive and never have any negativity. And you're always gonna have a positive and a negative with anything in life. But my thing is that talking about Book Talk, I feel like it's been ultra and very negative lately. That's just something that scares me. Like, to actually put out content, I'm like, oh my god, I am so scared that these comments are about to be flooded with hate, and I never feel like that on my YouTube channel. And also, I think my opinion on Book Talk, when I first made a Book Talk video a few months ago, I do feel like it has diversified depending on what side of Book Talk you're on. I've been recommended a lot of fantasy books, a lot of romance books, a lot of just contemporary fiction novels. I feel like it's not the same 15 books being regurgitated anymore. Some other people can think that it is. I just genuinely think it's depending on the creators that you follow and what is falling on your For You page. The algorithm has a lot to do with recommendations, I feel, that are put out by people. And let me just say that I don't even know enough about the algorithm. I just know that it matters and that is what puts out specific content for you. But I do feel like it's not the same, you know, the Seven Husbands tons of them. Hugo, It Ends With Us, Punk 57, We Both Die at the End, The Unhoneymooner. Like the same 10, 15 kind of regurgitated books that everyone was talking about, which is also a double-ended sword because obviously these books are very widely loved, but at the same time, let's diversify it. Let's get some different authors in there. Let's get some different representation. It's what we all need. So with that being said, I hope any of that made sense because I don't write down what I'm going to say for videos. I just kind of go with my brain. Hopefully that made sense. I don't know. But now I'm going to be talking about some books that I asked you guys about. So over on Instagram, you guys can follow me on my personal Instagram, which is at des.sidster, or I do have a bookstagram, which is at whatsdesreading. You guys can follow me on either of those or both, you know, whatever you're feeling. On my personal Instagram, I asked you guys what books that you think are book talk books. Like, what do you think are the most recommended books on Book Talk? So I went and pulled all of them from my bookshelf because obviously I own all of these. I think that says a lot about me. Anyway, so we're going to talk about them today. I only think that it's fitting to literally just discuss Colleen Hoover first and foremost because her books are some of the most widely recommended books on TikTok that I have ever seen in my life. Throughout the past 2 years, I feel like Colleen Hoover has really blown up. Not that she wasn't popular before TikTok and everything, but I feel like she's blown up throughout everybody knowing who she is throughout the past 2 years since quarantine. And I obviously fall under this umbrella because I literally have basically every single Colleen Hoover book, and I am going to talk to you guys about them. I'm not going to talk to you about every single Colleen Hoover book. I do have a Colleen Hoover kind of like ranking my Colleen Hoover favorites. I do want to redo that video. So if you guys are interested in me just talking about Colleen Hoover books, let me know down below if you guys want me to make a video about any specific authors, Colleen Hoover, Lauren Asher, the Addicted Calloway Sister series, any type of anything that you guys want, always let me know down below. But if you guys are interested on me breaking more down Colleen Hoover books, completely let me know. But I feel like it is nearly impossible for me to do this video and not speak on the two most popular Colleen Hoover books, which are Ugly Love and It Ends With Us. These two, especially It Ends With Us and Ugly Love, were the two most books that I got sent in of what you guys think are book talk books that are super recommended. Let's talk about them. I really liked It Ends With Us when I first read it, and I liked Ugly Love when I first read it, but then I feel like I had my blinders on because I do not like this book after further examination. I always said that I want to kind of reread this book. Then again, no, I feel like I try to rationalize with myself because so many people love this book. I do it with normal people where I'm like, no, I don't like it. And I'm like, well, maybe I should reread it and like try to find stuff to like, when it's just at the end of the day, you don't like the book, and that is okay. I feel that. I feel where people feel this almost dread of not liking a very hyped up book and people really loving it because it does not go over well. Not most of the time does it go over well. But I didn't like Ugly Love. I think I initially rated this a 4 stars. I think after further examination it may fall under a 2.75 to a 3. I really don't know. I should probably reread it for that purpose because if I don't really necessarily know what I rate it, how can I speak on it? But I know that I didn't love this. There was just stuff in this book, and I also just don't like Miles as a person. And then we have It Ends With Us, and I loved this book when I first read it. This was one of my favorite books of all time. When I read it, I was absolutely obsessed with this book for months. As I read more, as you mature in your taste, and just as you read more books, sometimes books just fall a little bit lower, not because you love them any less, but just because you have found books that you love more. And I still really like this book. I can't wait for It Starts With Us in October, and I do think that this book is very hyped, and something that I do think happens is when books like this are super hyped, because I think that this is the most hyped up book on Book Talk. I do. I think that It Ends With Us is the most hyped up book that I may have ever seen in my life. Like, I'm not even joking. I feel like almost every single person owns this book. Almost every single person. And when a book has a severe amount of hype, so many people are making book talks on it. Like in 2020, I felt like 2020 and early 2021, you couldn't escape this book. Like everyone was recommending it. It was everywhere. And I feel like what comes with that is that you have super high expectations and then you read it and you're like, okay, I didn't love that. If this had no expectations, you read it and didn't love it, you'd be like, okay, maybe it's like a 3, 3.5, maybe even a 4 stars. But when people are telling you how absolutely amazing this book is and how it's the best book they've ever read, and you read it and it doesn't fall under an amazing book and the most amazing book that you've read, you're like, oh wow, this severely disappointed me. 2, 3 stars. If you get what I'm saying, I feel like that's what's happened a lot with this book as well. Or some people just don't enjoy Colleen Hoover's writing. It's definitely not for everybody. I do feel like it is more immature, and if you don't like immature writing, then I definitely wouldn't recommend Colleen Hoover books. But I don't mind her writing style. I don't think it's very, very immature. There are cringy moments, but then again, I kind of cringe at a lot of things in books. Like, I feel like most authors have cringy moments. Those are the most highly negative things that I've seen about Colleen Hoover's books. Ultimately, I don't see the hype with this book, and I can kind of see the hype, but not like the absolutely astonishing hype that this book has. Of course, I can't not talk about the Addicted Calloway Sister series. This is definitely one of the most, I think this may be one of the most, if not the most, hyped up book series on Book Talk as a whole. Again, I'm not going to go completely in depth with these because I feel like that deserves its own respective video. So if you guys want to see that, definitely let me know down below. We all know, if you are a frequent viewer of this channel, that I am somebody who falls under loving this series. Again, with the super mega hype that follows the series, there's a lot of people who do not love it because of the high expectations that this series has been put out by everybody, and me included. I talk about how much I love this series, but I love a found family aspect. I love character development through very many books. That's something that is just for me, that I love to see. I love to be connected to characters and learn more and more about them and just be involved in their fictional life. So this is the Addicted series. The Addicted series is Addicted to You, Ricochet, Addicted for Now, Thrive, and Addicted After All. Now I'm going to talk about these two separately because they are technically two separate series. So for the Addicted series, this just follows Lily and Lo. I absolutely love this series. I will say that these first 3 books weren't my absolute favorite. I do want to go back and reread them, but I rated all of these, I think, a 3 stars. The first 3 books were 3 stars for me because the people that Lily and Lo are at the very beginning of the series are not entirely 100% lovable people. They have addictions. That's literally what the Addicted series is about, is them battling their addictions. And Thrive and Addicted After All, I absolutely loved them as how far they start growing together. This made me fall in love with Lily and Lo. They are my favorite couple in the whole entire series. I think the last 2 I rated a 5 stars for their books. And then we have the Calloway Sister series, which is Kiss the Sky, Hot House Flower, Fuel the Fire, and Long Way Down. These I also loved. You do see Lily and Lo in these 2, and also all of these characters are all in the Addicted books. I rated all of these as a whole entire series 10 out of 10. Love this series, but as books, I think I rated Kiss the Sky a 4 stars, Hot House Flower a 4 stars, Fuel the Fire I think was a 4.5, and Long Way Down was a 5 stars. I personally love this series. Next, an author that I want to talk about that is highly regarded on Book Talk is none other than Sally Rooney. So I actually don't have Normal People. I've never owned Normal People, but I've always owned Conversations with Friends and Beautiful World, Where Are You? This is going to be something that I'm scared to say, but I do not enjoy Sally Rooney's books. They're not for me. My tastes do not align with her writing style. I have read all 3 books that have been put out, and I just do not think that I will ever like these books. Her writing style is very different. She does not use quotation marks for her dialogue, and that is also something to get used to. That is not why I don't like these books. I just don't enjoy the writing style. I never really enjoy the characters, and I'm a big character gal. I really have to like the character to care about a book, and I just never feel that way with these. Next up, I have the Off-Campus series by Elle Kennedy. So this is The Deal, which is the first one. Then we have The Mistake, The Score, The Goal, and then the epilogue novel, which is The Legacy, where you get everyone's POV. So the Off-Campus series, I loved The Deal. I read The Deal in November of last year, loved it, gave it 5 stars. And then I read the rest of the series, and I think I overall just kind of rated these all like a 3 stars. I didn't love them. I think it's because I loved the characters in this book, and then I liked the characters in other books, But the thing is that I felt like they all followed the same exact storyline. They all felt super similar to me. They are very easy books to get through. They're funny, they have funny moments, and the characters are all super close. It has that found family aspect to it. But for me, these all just felt way too similar, and they weren't as good as The Deal for me. First we have ACOTAR, A Court of Thorns and Roses. I think that this is one of the most hyped up fantasy books on BookTok. I actually did enjoy this book. I am looking forward to the rest of the series. I rated this a 4 star, and I'm not a fantasy gal. If you've never watched one of my videos, I'm not a fantasy gal, but I'm pretty much open to reading anything. Like, I'll read anything. So when I first got on BookTok, literally everyone was talking about the ACOTAR series and how much they loved it and how they tab their books with it and everything. So that kind of was always there for me. I read this, I liked it, I was thoroughly surprised, and I am very excited to read the rest of the series. And that's kind of all I have to say, because this is like a highly regarded series. I've only read the first one, and I did enjoy the first one. Next we have Daisy Jones and the Six, which is an older Taylor Jenkins Reid book. I'm actually not too sure. I genuinely liked the way this book was written, because you literally get everyone's POV throughout the whole entire chapter. Because if you guys can see, it says like the person, like it's like an interview dialogue basically, so you're just reading it. And for that, I felt it was super easy, and I really love this book. This is one of my 5-star books. I really loved this book because you got everyone's POV at one time on one situation, which I thought was really cool. I really do like Daisy Jones and the Six. It was one of my 5-star reads. Next, we have a book that is all over BookTok right now, and I read this month, so spoiler alert for my wrap up, because this will be up for my wrap up. I had seen this everywhere, and I kind of wanted to get ahead and read this, and I read it. All right, I read it, and that is Magnolia Parks. I think I ended up rating this book a 2.5, I think. Ugh, guys, I do not. Here's the thing, like, I had seen everyone posting this book. Like, I had seen this book cover, but I hadn't really seen what this book was even about. I guess people describe this as Gossip Girl vibes, which, yes, Gossip Girl vibes. But I guess that you know going into it that this is a toxic relationship, which I did not know. I didn't know, and that quickly got old for me. Let me tell you that. I personally do not like reading about toxic relationships. I don't have the patience. I don't think, you guys don't know this about me, but I don't have a lot of patience. So when I'm reading books and they don't communicate, or they're toxic, or they have just behaviors that really irks me, I can't do it. I genuinely can't do it. So with reading this book, that definitely irked me, and there's just so many times that a situation could have been handled beautifully, perfectly, communicate, and it just doesn't. And it just makes the book go on for so long. And also, I'm sorry, but this writing was so hard for me to get into. I was like 100+ pages in, and I was like, I don't even understand what I'm reading right now. Another book that is very well known that I do not think is worth the hype, The Spanish Love Deception. This book was going around, I feel like heavily last year, not last year, a few months ago, kind of early into 2022 and a lot into later 2021. This book was circulating around everywhere, and I am someone who loved The Hating Game when I read it, so I was really excited for another workplace romance, because a lot of people said it was like The Hating Game. I rated this like a 2 to a 1.5 stars. I just didn't like this book. It was way too slow, and then the end was super fast out of nowhere, and it was just a bunch of blah in the middle. Yet another book that I don't think was worth the hype was Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. I've talked about this book enough. It was one of my book club's pick for the month. I feel like I've talked too much about this book almost, and how much I don't like it, and I don't want to keep on beating into the ground how much I don't like a book, because I don't care for the negativity surrounding a book from me personally. But I've just said, didn't enjoy the main character. He was something that I could not understand personally, why people really love him after some of the things that he does. It's a no from me. It's borderline psychotic and crazy. We have another series that is super hyped up, and I feel like this series has always been highly regarded in books, because so many people read these books growing up in their young adult years. But also, I feel like it got really hyped up on BookTok, specifically because the TV show just came out. I feel like that's when you saw a spike in people talking about these books again, which is The Summer I Turned Pretty series. Sorry, it is out of order. I know that annoys everybody. Like I said, the book just came out. These books came out years ago, but the TV show just came out, which has everyone obsessing over them. And I would say for good reason. Oh my god, guys, like, I loved The Summer I Turned Pretty. I loved this book. It felt very nostalgic for me. I literally have a whole entire reading vlog, so I'm not going to talk too much about these books, because I have a spoiler-free reading vlog with a spoiler person at the end that you guys can watch, but this book felt so nostalgic and I loved it, and I got on to the other 2 books. Didn't love them at all. Loved the first book, didn't like the other 2. I still will like the show. I feel like these books have hype for good reason though, but not as much as they have. Next we have the Inheritance Games. I don't have the 3rd one. I'm not too sure if the 3rd one's even out yet. I know it's coming out at the end of this month, but I don't know if it's out yet. It may be out, but I don't know. But I have read the first 2, the Inheritance Games and the Hawthorne Legacy, and I loved these. These books are short chapters, super easy to read. It's a cute little mystery with a subplot of romance, and it's a love triangle, which I usually don't like love triangles, but this one isn't annoying to me. So I definitely would recommend these. I do think that these have a good amount of hype, but I don't feel like these are like so hyped. Next we have a book that started getting a lot of hype that I read. Again, this is kind of a spoiler alert for my monthly reading wrap up, but that is Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. And this book, guys, I feel like this book was so cute, and this book reminded me a lot of the movie The Duff when I was reading it. So much so that when I finished this book, I literally went and watched the movie, and it was very similar because I think both of the guys' names are Wes, and it kind of had that same, like, the same tropes, like, oh, she gets a makeover and like all of this stuff, and she likes another guy, you know, and he's helping her try to get the other guy. And it was better than The Duff though. This book, if you don't like the movie The Duff and you're like ew, and that, just forget I said that, because this movie's way better than The Duff. I'm just saying it had some of the same tropes, and the characters kind of reminded me of the characters from The Duff, but not really, which probably may not make sense, but if you get me, you get me. I really loved this book. I gave this book a 4.5 stars. It was so cute. Next we have Every Summer After. This is a book that got so hype. I think the hype started in May, I'm pretty sure, for this book. It has kind of been around ever since. This got a lot of hype because it was the mix of The Summer I Turned Pretty and Love in Other Words. For me, personally, I enjoyed this book. I didn't like the plot twist, because when the plot twist is what this plot twist was, I no longer care. If you've read the book, you're understanding what I'm saying. I don't want to spoil it, but if you've read the book, you get what I'm saying. This book for me personally felt like Love in Other Words in a different font. It literally felt so similar to Love in Other Words, where if I was Christina Lauren, I would be very angry. And for that kind of turned me off this book a little bit. I still did enjoy it. I think I rated this like a 4 stars. Obviously, people love this book, so obviously, like, people really hyped up this book and people love it. But for me personally, it was just way too close to Love in Other Words for my comfort. Like, this kind of felt a little like, you guys know what I'm saying? Like, I was kind of like, nothing against her though, nothing against her. I'm just saying it was very similar, where it kind of threw me off a little bit. Okay guys, I feel like today's video is going to be a longer video because I talked a whole lot about everything. But if you guys enjoyed this video, you guys know to like, comment, subscribe, all of that YouTube stuff that you guys know how to do. And thank you so much again to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Do not forget to check out squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you guys are ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/destiny to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. And that is it for today's video. And I will see you guys when I see ya. Peace.